In this video, I'll be talking about film. Especially Fomapan 100 on 135, 120 and big format. And I'm taking all the pros and cons to see, is it any good? And I don't know if you remember, but I bought several big format lenses and here I am adapting them to my boards for my Takiara Hope. So let's start with the video in 3, 2, 1. Foma is one of the remaining European companies that still do film. Companies like Rolly, like Agfa, Berger, Adox, Washi, Orwo, Ferragna, and they do it with a certain level of quality. You have several layers in quality on what concerns the Foma products. The Fomapan 100 being what people consider to be a budget one, a budget layer, but the truth is the Fomapan 100 is not a cheap film. You cannot see it as a cheap film because there's nothing like cheap film. It doesn't exist. Everything is expensive. So Fomapan 100 is the least expensive film there is around. So that's the big difference between seeing as a cheap film or a less expensive film. I see it as a less expensive film, very, very capable to do excellent results. There are better films, but even inside the products of Foma, there are much better products than Fomapan 100. And Foma has several products. One of them is this, the Fomapan 100 in, the small cassette that you can buy. Above this, you have this, which is this one in the bulk, 17 meters. Above 17 meters, you have this exact same box, but this is 30.5 meters. Above this one, so this one is around 10 of these ones. This is around 20 of these ones, so you can spool it in new cassettes. And above this one, you have this bigger box, which is 50 meters. Above this, you go into the medium format. So above this, you have medium format, which is this little roll right here. So this is inside this box. Above this, you have big format. And I'm going to talk why this is in a different color from this one. This is the 9 by 12 centimeters. And above this one, you have the 4 by 5. 4 by 5s and the 912 comes on these boxes. So these boxes inside, you have this little plastic thingy, and inside you have the sheets. And then you have 8 by 10, which is much bigger than this. Attention! This, what I'm about to tell you, does not happen with these rolls, this, and these ones, the 135, so the 35 millimeters, they don't have this. But on medium format, on these ones and above, so this one as well, you see that there is this color which is actually a bit different from the rest. It's a bit different from this. It's a layer, a protective layer, anti-annihilation layer that they put it on medium format and on big format. And you have to dissolve this in water. This is a sheet that I screwed up and I dipped it half in water so you can see the difference. So this here is with the layer, the anti-annihilation layer. This is without the layer. So this was 10 minutes in water just until there. So this is just for you to see the difference between one and the other one. Foma is a company that has several distributors, but they also deal with the client directly. In my case, I'm not a shopkeeper, as you can imagine, but I buy from them directly. I combine with a friend of mine that lives a couple of blocks away, and we purchase 200, 300 euros, and we divide the shipping costs between us. And like that, you can get a fair deal on the items that we are buying. This meaning that a roll of 120 Fomapan 120 is barely below 4 euros, which is a very good price. But there is one thing that I would like to say about Foma. And I've been dealing with several companies in the past. I've bought things from Milford, I've bought things from Adox, I've bought things from Kodak. And every now and then there is a bad batch of film that I have to send back. For instance, I bought once Rolly Retro, and I bought also Ilford FP4 that I had to send back because there were black dots on the emulsion everywhere. Every time I would develop, they were just everywhere along the emulsion, and it was a bad emulsion that they did. I had to return that batch to the factory. This never happened with Foma, and I've been dealing with them for quite a few years, and I purchased like 30 rolls of film and bulk loading of 50 meters. I never had any issue with them, which leads me to another thing, which is the customer care. I contacted them twice, customer care, and I was surprisingly well received. They made me feel like, a special customer, which I'm not. I'm pretty sure that they have much bigger customers than I, but they always make you well. They always treat you as best as they can. And this is invaluable, I think. There is no price that you can put on this when you are going in a house and you know that you're welcome in that house. For instance, I spoke with them. The first time was in December last year. I was asking for 2 calendars, which they promptly sent. I gave one to my friend that we ordered the things together, and another one for me, and they promptly sent it to me. No issues, no questions whatsoever. I asked them for offer of I think it was three Foma Ortho to make the review that I did a few months ago, and they sent it to me easily, and they were very, very friendly. And this is what leads me to go to Foma and buy from them. The material is less expensive than the others. Even, for instance, Rodinal is less expensive than the Rodinal from Adox. But the customer care treats you so well that you just go back. That's it. I mean, that's a win-win situation for them and for us, the consumer. If you develop it in Rodinal, like normally I do, you will still have very, very few grain, a little bit more than usual. Like, for instance, if you would develop it in ID11, if you would develop in Kodak D76 or Ilfosol from Ilford. But it's with Rodinal, it's still very, very pleasing, and it's very, very, very few, to a point where it's this kind of beautifully few grain. I'm not a very fan of grain like potatoes, like when I have this grain, when I developed Rodinal with HP5, which looks like a potato fill all over the image. I'm not a fan of that. There are people who love grain like this. I don't. I like to see very fine grainy structure, like Fomapan and like, for instance, Ilford FP4 offers, rather than the HP5 or the Fomapan 400 offer. Now, Fomapan being an 100 ASA film, it's thinked to be a daylight film. However, if you have, like I do, steady hands, you can actually do night photography with it. With my hands I can do half a second to 1 second without much camera shake, and I've done it already in the past, and it turns out very fine because the grain is very soft. You can actually take really nice night photos with Fomapan 100. If you don't have steady hands, then I would advise you to use a tripod, which will do the trick. And you can photograph Fomapan 100 at night with some support, or like if you're like me, in your hands. A few years ago I was following the advices of several YouTubers saying that if you want a versatile film, you should go for HP5 or Fomapan 400, somewhere in the 360 to 400 ASA. Experience took me to think otherwise. First of all, I love low ASA or low ISO films. I prefer lower ISOs than high ISOs, or lower ASAs and high ASAs. And the reason is I prefer to do it slowly without too much grain rather than shoot, run and gun. So I was following the advices of the YouTubers, and all of a sudden I started to use Fomapan 100, so this was several years ago, and I learned how to get around the problems that ASA 100 gives you rather than ASA 400. As I said before, I have steady hands, so dusk photographing with ASA 100 is very easy for me. At night I just need to be careful to be leaned against something so I can have half a second, 1 second shots, and it's fairly easy to shoot it at night. And that's it. I can easily photograph with Fomapan 100 at night. I just need to be careful with some aspects of photographing at night with a low ASA, which is if I'm doing at a 1 second exposure, most things that are moving will be blurry. But I can live with that. I mean, I can plan my shots knowing this already in mind. And now going into detail about the sizes of film that Fomapan offers us, and going to the pros and cons of the sizes of the film, I need to confess something. I used to be a 135 shooter for several years, then I got into medium format, and once you go to medium format, you don't think much of a 135. The reason that I still shoot 135 is that I have a bunch of cameras and lenses that I don't want them to stop. I still want to shoot with them, and that's why every now and then I buy a bulk load of film from Foma 135, and I load those cameras and I shoot those cameras. But my main cameras are medium format and large format, and this is what I like to shoot. I prefer these two sizes because the lenses give me certain aspects that the 135 lenses don't. For instance, large format, you can raise, you can lower, you can swivel, and you can move the lens around that you just cannot do it with a camera like this. I mean, this is fixed to the camera. There is no movement whatsoever. So take this with a little bit of salt. I am an experienced 135 shooter, but I am now on my way to stop shooting 135 and go for medium format and large format. So you can ask, what is the difference between this one, and this one? And the difference is basically, well, there are two differences. You can see immediately the color. So this one has this protective layer that this one also has. And the 135 does not have the protection layer, the anti-annihilation protection layer. So again, I remind you, these two need an extra step while developing, which is to pre-wash either several times in a row or at least 10 to 15 minutes. This is about between 60 to 22 megapixels each image. The same image here will have about 150 megapixels, somewhere there, between 120 and 180 megapixels. With this one here, the image will be in the region of gigapixels. The best one I can do with 4x5 is 5 gigapixels per image. So the same image will have, like here, like 20 megapixels, 150 megapixels, and here 5 gigapixels. This image right here, if I scan it at its maximum capabilities, will originate me an image of 3.5 gigabytes. So it's like completely depletes my SSD drives if I'm not careful. So I normally scan this at a lower resolution, but well, that's it. The biggest difference between the same image on these three is that here you will notice a bit more grain. So the grain structure is the same, but the grain here will be much more noticeable than it would be here on this one. And here it's quite acceptable. I mean, the grain it's very few, and here is practically non-existent when you see the image in your screen. Another big difference between these three is that bulk loading, I think it's around 35 euros to 40 euros. The 30 meters, I will put it right here, the prices, the actual prices of this week. This one is around 4 euros per unit. They sell this at 3 euros 20, I think, or 3 euros 80, somewhere there. I'll again put the value over there, but then I have the shipping costs as well. And this is around per sheet, or we call this in Portuguese per plaque. It's around €1 because 50 sheets of this plus shipping is around 50 euros. So this is about €1 per image, and here is much the smaller you go, the cheaper it is.
And by now you're wondering, when is he going to use Fomapan out in the real life, in the real street? So I took two cameras out, the first one being my Nikon F4 with that brand new, well, not actually brand new, but second-hand Tokina that I showed you about 2 episodes ago. And the second one being the panoramic Olga, which takes 120 and 135 film, but I'll be shooting just the 120. So with this one you can expect light leaks and several other problems, not inherent to the film itself, but to the camera. And although I've been showing you photos taken, all of them with a Fomapan 100, I even still went to the beach and shot something else. In this case, a surfing dog. And close to the beach where I go, there is an abandoned house which I've been dying to photograph in big format, but I'm glad I just took my 135, the Nikon F4 with me, because it was more than enough. The place itself was meh, no better than that, just meh. But going back to the Fomapan 100, it's a very easy film to work with. The contrast is okay, it's not a T-Max, it's not a Tri-X, but it's okay, and contrast you can give it anytime during the process. You work very well with the film itself, even afterwards when you're having it in the enlarger, and the only thing that people do complain is because it's less expensive than the others, so they think that less expensive must be worse than the others, which is complete fake. Fomapan can actually hold its ground and is as good as some of the more expensive films which are direct competitors to Fomapan. Oh yes, FP4, I'm talking of you. And this little one is João. João is a Cocker Spaniel that we were called to help. He was delivered to a private kennel who got in contact with us, and we decided to bring him along and try to help him out. João is 5 months old. He was bought by a family, and then the family decided to get rid of him. They didn't want him anymore. Of course, with 5 months old, he's a dog that starts to chew on everything, he barks. And when he was delivered to the kennel, he was completely untamed. He had no hygienic rules. He would pee and poo-poo everywhere. He was not house trained. And well, Slowly he began to understand that we are here to help him out, and very soon he's going to be neutered and he's going to be in search for a family. So if you think that you're the ones, I mean, just get in contact with us, and if you live in the Lisbon area, that would be just perfect.
So the question is it actually worth to shoot Fomapan 100? And the answer is quite simple. Let's look at the pros and cons, and I'm going to give you one con of shooting 120. So this little guy right here, that actually no one talks about it, and I'm probably the only one to complain about this. The grain structure of Fomapan 100 is actually really good. The grain is very few. It's very pleasant to see. It has a moderate contrast, and contrast here you can give it in the post-production, so you can give it while developing, or you can give it while doing work on the enlarger, or you can even do it digitally if you want to, if that's your thing. So Fomapan works really well at €2.12 I think, or €2.10, which is the bulk load value. I mean, there's no comparison whatsoever with the other films. Yes, it is actually worth to use Fomapan as your daily normal film and have, for instance, the Ortho, T-Max, Tri-X for special occasions, but using Fomapan as your main film. Yes, that is very doable. There is two things that I would like to request from Foma, and one of them is actually a complaint. First, Foma, please put Foma Ortho as 4x5s. I'm not the only one saying this. I'm very sure I spoke with other people. They really love the Foma Ortho, but they want to shoot 4x5s or 9x12s. I'm not very fan of 9x12, I'm more fan of 4x5. So please put 4x5 with Foma Ortho. Please. And another thing, this little guy here, when you're developing, when you're in your dark cloth or in your dark room, and you remove the film, there is a part that you get to a sticker. And I'm going to show you, so this is one of my tanks in the dark cloth or in the dark room. I normally remove the sticker from the tape and I glue it here. This adds extra grip when you're doing the agitation. These are the old ones of Foma, which have been there for years and years. These yellow ones, these are the new ones. These start to peel out. This is like paper based or something, and they start to peel out. These ones will stay. There is another thing as well, which is when you use a squeegee with the new Foma, because they went from this one to these ones, the white ones. When you use the squeegee at the end of developing to remove all the excess of waters, you get this glue here. You see it? This glue thingy, this white thingy right there, and this goes, I'm even, look, wait, I'm going to show you. It's this sticky thingy, look, yeah, see it? This goes from, if you're not careful, this goes from one roll to the other one, and it spoils everything and leaves marks on the roll that you're squeegeeing. Please abandon this white one and put the old one back again, because this is much easier to remove. As a matter of fact, if you look carefully, they leave these really bad marks over there. You see, and when the squeegee passes through there, it gets completely with this white thingy that I've just removed from here. But I mean, it's there. You can see it at the end of the row. So, I mean, please dump this one, dump this sticker and start to use again the yellow one, which is much better to remove. Does not leave any mark on the film, and it's just easier, just makes our life easier. And this set, we're concluding this video. I hope you like it. Please subscribe. This will help me to do further videos. And I'll see you next time, or as we say in Portuguese, até a próxima.